Welcome to our deep dive, you guys, into human capital management theories. You handed us a pretty hefty academic paper, but we're going to unpack the most fascinating bits about how organizations think about their biggest asset, people.
Yeah, we'll be exploring how those approaches have evolved over time, right? From early industrialization to today's complex, ever-changing landscape.
Okay, so to kick things off, let's talk about the shift from farms to factories, the era of modernization theory. This theory argues that societies evolve from rural agricultural economies to urban industrialized ones. But is that progress always equitable? You, the listener, you might want to consider how this historical shift still impacts economic disparities today.
Yeah, that's a crucial point. While modernization theory emphasizes industrialization and urbanization as pathways to societal progress, it doesn't fully address the potential downsides. It assumes this rising tide lifts all boats approach. But did everyone benefit equally from this shift? Did it inadvertently create a gap between the haves and the have-nots?
That's a question worth pondering. Now, let's move on from the image of those rigid factories to something a bit more organic. Systems theory flips the script and suggests that we view organizations not as machines, but as living, breathing systems.
Exactly. Instead of a company trying to, control every minute detail, systems theory encourages us to see the interconnectedness of different parts and how they work together to create a whole.
Rather than trying to force change in a top-down manner, which often leads to chaos, it's about understanding those connections and fostering adaptation. What's fascinating is that this approach acknowledges the constant state of flux within organizations and embraces that dynamism.
Precisely. It's about nurturing the system's ability to adapt and evolve. Instead of rigid hierarchies and predetermined functions, we see organizations as networks where change is constant and adaptation is key.
Okay, ready to take this a step further. Buckle up because we're heading into complexity theory territory.
Ooh. This theory throws out the rule book and embraces the unpredictable nature of organizations. It suggests that instead of fearing chaos and trying to control every outcome, we should see it as a potential catalyst for innovation and growth.
So instead of viewing organizations as static entities, we're recognizing that they're constantly evolving, adapting and responding to their environment, almost like a living organism.
Exactly. And complexity theory introduces the idea of complex adaptive systems, or CAS. These are networks of interconnected agents, individuals within an organization constantly interacting and adapting. Think about your own workplace. Are you encouraged to embrace challenges and think outside the box? Or are you expected to simply follow the established rules? Because in a CAS, it's that individual adaptation and interaction that can lead to truly innovative solutions.
It's a fascinating way to look at organizations, almost like a web of interconnected individuals constantly responding and adapting to change. And what's really interesting is that even conflict, something we usually try to avoid, can be a positive force in a CAS.
Absolutely. It challenges the traditional view that conflict is inherently negative. When approached constructively, it can force teams to confront different perspectives, to think critically, and to find creative solutions organically. It can be a powerful catalyst for growth and innovation.
So it's not about suppressing dissent, but rather about harnessing those diverse viewpoints and allowing them to clash in a way that generates creative sparks.
Now let's shift gears and talk about something a bit more personal: motivation. Why do you work? Is it purely for the paycheck, or is there something more driving you? The next theory explores this very question.
This is where we delve into the battle between extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Captured in Theory X and Theory Y, Theory X focuses on external rewards and punishments, the classic carrot and stick approach. It assumes that people are inherently lazy and need to be controlled and directed.
So it's that external pressure: do this to get that or else face consequences. But Theory Y offers a completely different perspective, right? Yes. Theory Y champions the idea of intrinsic motivation, suggesting that people are naturally curious, want to learn, and desire to contribute to something meaningful. They find satisfaction in the work itself, not just the external rewards. Think about your own motivations at work. Are you driven by external rewards or by a desire to contribute something meaningful?
It's that internal drive, that sense of purpose, and the desire to grow and achieve something you genuinely care about. It's almost like two completely different operating systems for motivation.
And this distinction has significant implications for management styles and overall employee engagement. A Theory X manager might rely on strict rules and constant supervision, while a Theory Y manager might focus on fostering a supportive environment That encourages creativity and autonomy. It's not about choosing one theory over the other, but understanding the nuances of each and finding the approach that best suits your team and the nature of their work.
It's about recognizing that people are motivated by different things and creating an environment that allows those motivations to flourish, whether they stem from external rewards or internal drive. Now, to add another layer to this conversation, let's introduce contingency theory. This theory reminds us that there's no magic formula for success.
Contingency theory acknowledges that every organization is different, and there are numerous factors, both internal and external, that influence its structure and decision-making processes. Things like leadership style, organizational size, and the ability to adapt to change all play a crucial role. Leaders need to be able to read the room, to understand the unique challenges their organization faces, and to adapt their style to meet those challenges.
It's about being flexible and adaptable, recognizing that what works in one context might not work in another.
Exactly. The key takeaway here is that flexibility is king. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. Leaders need to constantly assess the situation and adapt their approach accordingly.
It's like a chameleon adapting to its surroundings. And speaking of adapting, think about how companies today are navigating the ever-changing economic landscape. Contingency theory in action. Adaptation is crucial for survival in today's world. Now, if we're talking about survival and adapting to change, we can't ignore disruptive business theory.
Disruptive business theory shines a light on how innovative business models, not just technology itself, can completely transform markets. It's not always about having the newest, shiniest gadget, but about finding a new way to do things, a new way to deliver value to customers.
Remember Blockbuster Video? Exactly. This theory explains how entire industries get flipped on their head by those who aren't afraid to shake things up. So it's about challenging the status quo and thinking outside the traditional ways of doing business, right?
Precisely. And here's the kicker. Listening to your customers too closely can actually blind you to disruptive opportunities. Sometimes you need to think beyond what your current customers are asking for and anticipate needs they don't even realize they have.
It's about being proactive, not just reactive. So are you a disruptor or are you being disrupted? This theory is a call to action. Embrace change or risk getting left behind. It's about being bold, innovative, and unafraid to challenge the way things have always been done. Now, before we jump into the next part of our deep dive, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. We've covered a lot of ground today, but how do these theories connect back to you, the listener?
Think about your own workplace, your own career path. Which of these theories resonates most with you? What new insights will you take into your work and life?
We'll be back in just a moment to explore those connections and unpack even more fascinating insights from our deep dive into human capital management theories. Welcome back to our deep dive into human capital management theories. Before the break, we were exploring disruptive business theory and how even successful companies can be blindsided by innovation.
Yeah, it's a classic tale of disruption, you know. Established companies, often blinded by their past successes, fail to recognize the potential of emerging technologies or business models. Yeah.
Our source material dives deeper into this phenomenon, highlighting how these companies can become so focused on what's worked for them in the past that they completely miss the signals of change on the horizon.
They become fixated on optimizing for the present, right? For what their existing customers are demanding. And they fail to anticipate the future. It's almost as if they're driving with their eyes glued to the rearview mirror, completely oblivious to the road ahead.
They get so caught up in listening to their current customers that they miss the whispers of change, the unmet needs that could lead to groundbreaking innovation.
Exactly. They assume that if their current customers are asking for it, it must not be important. But disruptive innovations often start by targeting niche markets that established players aren't even paying attention to.
The big players dismiss them, thinking that's not a threat to our business.
Yeah.
Because they're too busy catering to their existing high-paying customers.
And that's their downfall. These seemingly insignificant innovations start gaining traction, improving, evolving, and before the big guys know it,
they've got a real competitor on their hands, one who's figured out a new way to deliver value and is rapidly capturing market share.
Right. It's a crucial lesson for any leader. Don't become complacent. Don't let past successes blind you to future possibilities. Challenge your assumptions and be willing to to look beyond your immediate market.
It's about striking a balance between listening to your existing customers and also peering over the horizon to spot those potentially disruptive opportunities.
Precisely. You need to find that sweet spot between gathering customer feedback and cultivating visionary thinking, looking beyond what's currently being demanded, and anticipating needs that customers may not even realize they have yet.
It reminds me of that famous quote, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. But what they truly needed was the automobile, something they couldn't even conceptualize at the time.
That's a perfect illustration. It highlights the limitations of relying solely on customer input when it comes to truly disruptive innovation.
So how does a leader avoid falling into this trap? How do you strike that balance between staying attuned to your customers and also keeping an eye out for those game-changing opportunities?
It's a constant balancing act. You need a blend of data analysis, market research, and a willingness to embrace risk. Sometimes you have to trust your gut, go against the grain, and pursue those ideas that may seem crazy at first.
And that's where disruptive business theory really shines. It's not just about the technology itself, but also about the business model, how you package that innovation, how you deliver it to the market, and how you create value for your customers in a way that disrupts the existing paradigm.
It's about finding creative ways to reach new customers, to shake up traditional pricing models, and to challenge the established ways of doing things.
It's not just about being first to market. It's about being the smartest to market, the one who truly understands the evolving needs and desires of your target audience, and can craft a business model that aligns with those needs in a truly innovative and disruptive way.
You've hit the nail on the head. Now, before we wrap up our exploration of these fascinating theories, let's circle back to you, the listener.
How do these concepts resonate with your own experiences? Can you see any of these theories playing out in your own workplace or industry? What insights will you take away from this deep dive, and how might you apply them to your own career or business ventures?
We'll be back in just a moment to wrap things up and leave you with some final food for thought as we conclude our deep dive into human capital management theories.
Welcome back to our deep dive into human capital management theories. Before the break, we were talking about how understanding these theories can help you make sense of your own workplace, and your career.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, exploring how organizations function as complex systems, how individuals are motivated, and how disruptive forces can reshape entire industries.
It's been quite a journey, but the real value comes from applying these insights to your own unique context.
Exactly. These theories offer a valuable lens through which to view the dynamics of organizations and the forces that shape the modern workplace.
So as we wrap up, we wanted to leave you with some final food for thought. We've talked about the importance of adaptation, of embracing change, and of challenging the status quo. But what does that actually look like in practice?
It's about cultivating a mindset of continuous learning and growth, both for yourself and for your organization.
It's about staying curious, asking questions, and being willing to experiment.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to challenge conventional wisdom and explore new ways of doing things. The insights we've discussed today, from systems theory to disruptive business theory, provide a powerful framework for understanding the complexities of the modern workplace.
And we encourage you to revisit the source material we've discussed and reflect on how these theories resonate with your own experiences.
Yeah.
What stands out to you? What new perspectives have you gained?
Remember, these theories are tools. It's up to you to use them to make more informed decisions, to navigate the challenges of your career, and to contribute to creating more effective and fulfilling workplaces.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those brains buzzing. That's it for this deep dive into human capital management theories. Thanks for joining us.